Now, provinces in eastern China are on high alert and have intensified their efforts to mitigate the impact of the sustained rainstorms and strong gusts brought by Typhoon Gaimi as it continues its northward trajectory. The typhoon, the third of the year, made its second landfall in Fujian City of the East China's Fujian province Thursday evening, according to the Provincial Meteorological Bureau. The typhoon has brought in torrential rainfall to the nearby cities, including Ningde and Chaozhou, which caused flooding and stranded local residents. As of 7 a.m. on Saturday, the typhoon had forced the evacuation of 304,200 residents and affected 766,000 plus people in the Fujian province. Meanwhile, in Liaoning province with the Jilin province in northeastern China, continuous rain has triggered flooding of over 4 meters and mudslides in some areas. Local authorities said the rain is expected to continue till tomorrow. Now, bearing unforeseen circumstances, the planned nationwide protest against perceived mismanagement of Nigeria's economy by the current government will kick off in a matter of days, exactly on August the 1st. Many of those who have been speaking up for the protest consist of those of the younger demographic of Nigeria's population. For these people, those in authority have been too insensitive to the issues directly affecting them, including unemployment, insecurity, health and education. For greater introspection on this matter, we're now being joined by Dr. Elvis Abuyere. He is the Group Managing Director and CEO of Skywise Group. Good to have you with us on Newsday.
Good to have you, Nii. Good afternoon to you.
All right, Doctor, let's go straight here. How would you assess efforts, if any, towards youth development in Nigeria so far? Let's start with that to form a background to our main discussion.
All right, I believe Nigeria is a great country, and Nigeria is a giant of Africa. For us to get it right, we need to go more into entrepreneurship. So what I tell people everywhere I go, that the future of Africa is entrepreneurship. So we must lead Africa. As a giant of Africa, we must invest so much more in entrepreneurship. And that is why we do that in our own area of interest. Where we have an event come up every year, meet the CEO. We get young people, see them in a hall, and we get people who have done business ahead of time before now to come and share their experiences, the journey, how they started entrepreneurship, and how far they have gone, and share it to these young people who are coming up and look up to them, to invest in them, and also give them an opportunity to learn from their success story, from their failure, and how far they have come. And with that, we can be able to develop Nigeria, because we have so much resources in this great country. And I tell people, Nigeria is underutilized. We have not utilized even 10% of our capacity as a nation. Just early this morning, I was listening to news where Morocco becomes the highest producer of automobile in Africa. And by research, Morocco is just 38 million people. While here in Nigeria, we are over 240 million people in Nigeria. So we have young people who are resilient. They have so much to do. They just need the right platform, the right clean slate, social amenity for them to unveil the capacity within them. Just like the program we had last year at the Yaradua Center, Meet the CEO 3.0. And the theme was unveil the power within you for national economic transformation. We believe we educate people, young Nigerians, to unveil the power within them for national economic transformation. And with that, they can be able to develop Nigeria for good.
All right, very good, Doctor. So let's talk about the rising issue of unemployment and insecurity. And of course, governments over time have grappled with it, but it is still a challenge. Do you think this is insurmountable? And what's the way forward here, you think?
What I tell people, I think it's high time we have to go back to trade by barter. According to a great scholar, David Ricardo, who says every country should specialize in the area of their capacity to trade. So for us to sustain and help ourselves, we need to begin to trade and unveil the capacity within us. Gone are the days people depend on the government for white-collar job. People comes out from NYC. These days, the jobs are no longer there. And when people, as the saying goes, an idle man is a devil workshop. So I advance in telling people in the area of unveil the resources within you. And I pick that from my belief system. One person whereby I don't really focus more on the government to probably like get what I want to do, what I want to achieve. Because I remember growing up in life, early days, I was told that we are the future of tomorrow. We are the future of tomorrow. We are the leaders of tomorrow, and so on. Now, I'm on my late 30s. I'm fending for myself, trying to make all ends meet, unveiling resources within my capacity. And I picked that from the Bible. In the book of 2 Peter chapter 1, verse 3, it says, God has given us everything concerning life and godliness. So everything I need to succeed in life is within me. So I'm advocating for this to young people, not to be idle. Let them unveil the resources within them for national economic transformation, because radical economic transformation, to me as a person, is not what we demand anymore from the government, but what we demand from ourselves as a great citizens of this country. So what I tell people in that aspect, when you don't have things to do, you become an idle, and anything that goes through your mind, by research, over 99% of our thoughts are negative. Only 1% are positive. So when you don't have something to do to develop yourself, to optimize yourself, negative thoughts will begin to come to your mind. So what I tell people is, don't be an idle person. When you don't have a job, learn some skills. When you learn some skills, prepare yourself for opportunities. Somehow, someday, definitely when preparations meet an opportunity, that is success. So no matter what, don't come out from NYC, don't be an idle, clamoring, oh, there's no job. Create something for yourself. I started my entrepreneurship journey early days in my life, having background in the banking sector, came out, started my company, Skywise Group, and we started very small. And today, to God be the glory, we are going somewhere. So what I tell people is, if I can do it as a person, applying just the principle of leverage, anybody out there can do it. And when they're doing that, when a man is mentally rich, so they're no longer going to probably be depending on, waiting for what the government can do for us, what this can do for us. No. According to David Ricardo, he said the wealth of a nation is not measured by the money in circulations, but by the goods and services produced in that nation. So if we can come together as a person, as an individual, to contribute our own quota, we're definitely going to develop Nigeria for good if the government also do their own part. For instance, why do I say the government do their own part? I look at the life of China today. China happens to be the second largest economy in the world. And by research, we have over 68 million people who are entrepreneurs. And what I tell people is, even my friends that are actually occupying public offices, I tell them, what we need right now is national orientation for young people, advancing entrepreneurship classes, national set out quarterly, both by state, go to state, maybe the Minister of Youth or SMEDA, advance people, engage them mentally, set up programs that will help them. Because I tell people, Nigeria or young people out there, it is not the lack of cash alone. Most people is a lack of the sense of direction and belonging. So if the government create an enable environment for young people to thrive, to be able to fend for themselves, we're definitely going to have less insecurity in Nigeria. Because when people are idle, they begin to think about negative things. Negative thought comes through their mind. So we need programs that will educate people mentally. We need programs that will enhance people, give them a sense of belonging and direction, and with that, we'll reduce unemployment rate and insecurity in Nigeria.
All right, Dr. Abuyere, let's talk about the planned nationwide protest and, of course, the ones we're still talking about, the youth development issues. How significant is this protest And would it realistically impact government's current socio-economic policies relating to the youth as well?
Well, I do believe that every citizen of Nigeria actually have right to protest, but I'm not actually going to, because it's not actually the topic for today. If they feel that need to protest, it's fine. But for me, I just feel that it will not actually contribute to the livelihood of being a business person. So I believe that every young person out there, every citizen of Nigeria have the right to protest. So that is what I can say about this.
You also talked about the issue of entrepreneurship and using yourself as an example for youth to at least take the course of direction, a path towards their life in future. Is that thought actually resonating with the current youth in Nigeria, you think?
Well, like I said, I realize that everybody have their own mindset and what they want to be and what they want to become. Some probably some born leaders, some probably trained to be leaders, and people fend for themselves. But one thing that is more important, I believe in myself, what I've actually discovered in my environment, society at large, is that everybody have a purpose for living. So we at Skywise Group, we have the Skywise Empowerment and Advancement Foundation, where every year we come people like this, the one that is coming up 30th November at Yaradua Center. We have the likelihood of great speakers that come and talk to people. Because like I said, the issue, the deficiency we have in Nigeria among the young people is a lack of information. People are physically rich, but they are mentally poor. So we educate people on entrepreneurship, because that is my core belief system, that Nigeria is a great country, and for we to lead as a great nation, we definitely have to invest more on entrepreneurship. And with this, if the government can come together, set up programs that will enable young people to learn skills, acquisitions, and so on, and believe and they optimize themselves, we're definitely going to transform Nigeria. Like I told you, countries that have become great today are not being built by politicians, but they are built by entrepreneurs. The likes of America, the likes of China, Japan, Singapore, and so on. So when we have great entrepreneurs, great people, and one thing I know that is for sure, that I've experienced, I've traveled to a few countries, Nigerians, young people, the youth are resilient. Anywhere you go around the world, you find young people, especially in Nigeria, doing something for themselves. Now, why do I say this? Because if you give them the right platform and you advance them with skills, definitely going to excel, and they're going to become something and contribute to national development, contribute to the GDP of this great nation. Because the money in circulation is not really the wealth of the nation. It's by the goods and services produced in that nation. So what my advice is, the government should set up programs that will educate young people about entrepreneurship. We are the giant of Africa. We have so much in us, so much endowment, natural resources, human strength, population, everything. So if the government can set up programs, like I said, there's nothing wrong having National Orientation Day for the youths. There's nothing wrong for each state to have quarterly orientation for the youth. Set up skills acquisitions to enable them. And guess what? When you do this, you don't need to advance people with incentive when it comes to cash and so on. If you give most people cash these days, they'll just utilize for the immediate. But when you set people with the right information, you give them a sense of belonging and sense of direction, they will be able to fend for themselves. Because when the man is not informed, he will be deformed. So this is what I believe that can be able to advance the Nigerian young people and can transform Nigeria for good. And we will keep claiming our name as a giant of Africa. Because look at what is happening around the world today. Among even African country, Egypt competing with our GDP, South Africa, and so on, and yet we are the giant of Africa. So I believe that if the government can invest in the life of young people, set up programs that will enable them and give them a sense of belonging and direction, definitely Nigeria will begin to be great again.
Indeed, and on that optimistic note, Dr. Elvis Abuyere, CEO, Skywise Group, I'd like to thank you for your time.